and never a tetracycline, based upon the research that's done. Neurotoxic disorders. Injection of antibiotics showed to increase the risk of phlebitis in up to 18% of the patients that got the injections, particularly in the hospitals. Phlebitis, blood clots. Interesting. It's probably to help keep away all the heavy amount of super infections that are going on in the hospitals right now. Routine prescribing, as I mentioned in the Pediatrics Journal, in 1975. So what is that? 35 years ago we knew about this, and yet we keep giving more and more antibiotics. We have to take a look at these, find alternatives, research alternatives. Food supply, full of it. The federal government just came out last week saying, you know, I think we might have some antibiotic residues and all that in our meat, in our beef. We may have to look at this. Not another word. So they're just now looking at this when we know our meats are full of antibiotics, growth hormones. I'll tell you, we have a local oncologist, and I won't say the name, that told one of my patients, and she's a breast cancer survivor, that if she didn't do organics, she would be a fool. So they know, because he's treating cancers all day long. No antibiotics, organics whenever you possibly can. Eat meat that's grass-fed, antibiotic and hormone-free. Build your immune system, alkali your blood. We talk about the diets continually, lots of vegetables. Sugars feed yeast, sugars feed bacteria, staph, E. coli. That junk food diet, and you wonder and you come into my store and you say, well, I don't feel good, I'm not healthy. And then I look at your diet and I'm like, we got some changing to do here. So examine your diet, examine your lifestyles, alcohol, all that wonderful stuff. Recognize the ramifications of doing antibiotics and research the alternatives. Next, we're going to be moving on to the fitness portion of our show. Thank you very much. Welcome to the fitness portion of our show, and once again I'm on the floor. You get down on a comfortable, carpeted, nice, soft floor, something that's going to give you firm support, and kind of in a neutral position as much as you can, holding your abdominals kind of tight and pushing your back into the ground itself. You bring your hands up to a near parallel position along with your head up. Now what we're going to work on is we're going to work on the core part of the body. And so hands out, feet up, and this is called the 100. This is a Pilates move that works, gosh, if you can look at me, just about every part of the body, because everything eventually will get very tight. And as I'm doing 100 breaths, because I can do it, but if you got to work up to it, you work up to it. You start with 15 breaths. Relieve it. A lot of people aren't going to have the neck strength to be able to hold that up, but remember, we want some neck strength. Now, if you've got neck problems, back issues, you know, we don't got a lot of motion here, but we do have holding muscle and erectors. So looking straight forward, counting for 100 breaths, great Pilates move for core strength. Next, we're going to be moving on to the research portion of our show. Thank you very much. Hi, welcome to the research portion of our show, and with us today, with his words of wisdom, Ralph Turchiano.
And thank you for that intro. Well, sometimes you're confused, a little bit of blurry vision, lack of balance. Well, researchers at Loyola University came up with a possible reason for sometimes these unexplained things, including seizures. You'll like this one. Know the word neurocystic cirrhosis. Otherwise, what it is tapeworm. Where? In the brain. How common is it? Well, if you're in the border states, or basically indigenous to Mexico, you're looking at about up to 10% of the population, or I should say 1 in 10, have become infected with tapeworm in the brain. And yes, the seizures can be harsh. Some people can live with it a long period of time and never know they have ever had it. But when the seizures do hit, if they do hit, then about 70% of the people that have tapeworm of the brain, it's pretty severe. So if you have things going on, confusion, lack of balance, encephalitis from time to time, headaches, seizures, blurry vision, and it doesn't seem to be a good reason why it's there or it arrived, and you never had it before in your life, but you've been traveling to areas where basically the sanitation is not the best, look into that. It's something to actually pay attention to. Otherwise, you'll be medicated your entire life for something that may be a chance of them clearing up one way or the other. And it is, or I should say, does travel just through contaminated water. You do not have to eat pork or raw pork or something along those lines or come in contact with feces or whatever. You can actually just connect to it just by basically having a dirty hand put in your mouth. So, something to look for, neurocystic cirrhosis, tapeworm of the brain. Otherwise, no other way to put it. Outside of that, you ever hear about people saying if you reduce your calories, your metabolism seems to slow down? And often medically they'll say, well, just eat less. Well, they found out diet alone does not necessarily help with weight loss. How'd they find this out? Well, they took a group of monkeys, and what they did is they overfed them. They overfed them for quite some time. And then they reduced their calories down by about 30%, looking for weight loss. One group of monkeys, basically, they did with exercise. Don't ask me how they trained them. Another group of monkeys, they did no exercise. And this came out of Oregon Health and Science University, and it's also, you'll find it printed in the April edition of the American Journal of Physiology. What they found out was just by reducing the calories, after 30 days, they had virtually no significant weight loss. In fact, their energy levels actually went down. Then, after 2 months, still no significant weight loss in the group which was not exercising, and their energy levels went even lower, to the point of being almost like what you would consider a chronic fatigue. And the metabolism began to slow. And they said, quote unquote, this study demonstrates that there is a natural body mechanism which conserves energy in a response to reduction to calories. So this does mean it is not just about the amount of calories taken in. You want to lose weight, just reduce those calories down. It means it requires a little bit of physical activity added to that. The body is made to move. If it senses it's starving, it will slow everything down. We know that, and that's been confirmed again from Oregon Health and Science University. And outside of that, something we knew in the health industry for a long period of time, but again, this time it's been reconfirmed by the American Association for Cancer Research, the 101st annual meeting this year. Vitamin and calcium supplements do, or they should say may, reduce breast cancer risk. By how much is a good question. Well, they found out calcium reduced breast cancer risk by as much as 40%. Now, keep in mind, this is done up to the point of what's called DNA repair. Once DNA repair is maxed out, the calcium offers no additional benefit outside of that. So someone's that already have max DNA repair capacity, the calcium will help, but only to a certain point. The vitamin supplements, regardless of the body's ability to repair its own DNA, reduce breast cancer risk 30% all of the time, period. And so, again, this was from the American Association for Cancer Research. They said vitamin supplements appear to reduce the risk of breast cancer by about 30%. Calcium supplements reduced 40%. After controlling for the level of DNA repair capacity, calcium supplements were no longer as protective, but the link between vitamin supplements and breast cancer reduction remained. So all those naysayers out there, which like to offer their non-scientific opinion that vitamins don't make a difference in your body and your life, well, these naysayers, or whoever you want to call them, they have to start paying attention to the science. Scientists confirm it does. The propaganda against it, I have no clue where it comes from. Outside of that, coming from Japan, and this is in the Journal of the American Heart Association. And I'm trying to figure out, it was published at the Osaka University. They found out that eating more foods or consuming more B6, B12, and folic acid significantly reduced the risk of heart disease. How much? Is this like a little tiny study? No, it's a big study. The Japanese researched 23,119 men and 35,611 women over 14 years. So this is not just some backwoods study. And they said, quote unquote, they were so associated with significantly fewer deaths from heart failure, significantly fewer deaths from stroke, heart disease, and total cardiovascular disease in both men and women. Now, is the B6 and the folic acid more so than the B12? But more confirmation in regard to doing these vitamin supplements. To follow that up, vitamin K. Now, mark my words. Watch 2 or 3 years from now, vitamin K will be your next vitamin D in the news because we're critically low in a lot of different areas. Well, vitamin K, and this was done from the American Association for Cancer Research, in regards to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I bring this up because we're seeing a lot of it. Vitamin K reduced the incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma up to 45%. Yeah, 45%. And that's a huge amount just for one single micronutrient. They said, quote, these results are proactive, since they're the first work to be done in connection between vitamin K and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And this is a fairly strong protective effect. And it did work with supplements also, but not mega doses of vitamin K, and I would not recommend that anyway since it is a coagulant. But with good, simple vitamin K, the supplementation from a supplement, not in high doses, or eating a vitamin K rich diet. Again, another nutrient breakthrough, and watch vitamin K in the news as time goes on. Now, to tie in with probiotics. An article that came out just recently, basically from the University of Montreal, said, why are allergies increasing? Well, again, they said, quote, this is an inverse relationship between the level of hygiene and the incidence of allergies and autoimmune diseases, said Dr. De La Pesce. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, doing the best I can here. The more sterile the environment of a child lives in, the higher the risk he or she will develop allergies or an immune problem in their lifetime. Also, another real important reason why your kids should be outside playing and being exposed to the environment. In 1980, 10% of the Western population suffered from allergies. Today, and this is not too long ago, it's only about 30 years. Today, 30% of our population now suffers from autoimmune dysfunction or allergies. 1 out of every 10 children is said to be asthmatic now, and the mortality rate is increasing by 28% just between 1980 and 1994. Guess what Dr. Leslie's solution was for not being exposed to these good beneficial bacteria? He said, simply, consuming probiotics or beneficial bacteria during pregnancy could help reduce the allergies in a child. I'm kind of wrapping this up to make it kind of fast. So, when someone is pregnant, instead of a prenatal, they may want to also recommend they also take a probiotic too. What a simple way to reduce allergies and autoimmune conditions. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Thank you very much for joining our show. Do your research. We appreciate you joining us. Have a good day.